Oh, I love that.
All right. So awesome to get started with you guys today. Intentional Women Making an Impact series, which is part of the Female Leader Headquarters. I love to share these with you guys so that we can bring some different people up, like Christine, from our community, so that you guys can get to know each other in service, in social, in life. And you can really learn to be leaders in your lives between each other. But also, sometimes we just need that inspiration and that example. So you will get tons of golden nuggets out of this interview with Christine, because we have been connected now, I want to say, for what, like 3 years?
Yeah, at least. I know.
Yeah. So Christine and I met through a couple other social media groups, and we just knew we had that vibe and that connection. And we've been talking about working together now for I can't tell you how long. But I'm going to go ahead and let Christine introduce herself and what she does in her own terms and words, and then we'll get started. Does that sound good? Right.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Trienne, so much for asking me, and it's an honor and pleasure. You're absolutely crushing it in this space, and I love how you are always showcasing and bringing women to the front, and it's been a real pleasure to be in the space with you and to be in the coaching programs that we're in together. So I would say I'm a mom first. That's the first thing that always comes out of my mouth, because I am first and foremost a mom. And I signed up to be a mom years ago. I got a master's degree. I went to school, had some work experience. But the minute I decided I was ready to have kids, I was like, this is my jam. Like, I want to be home with my kids. I want to be taking care of my family. And so that I sort of set that in stone. Gosh, my eldest is going to be 17 now, 17 years ago, and so I really, just like many women, stumbled into the home business space when my third child was 2, and I had extra weight I was carrying around, and I kept calling it baby weight. Um, I'd like to start with this. I know, right? It was like, hello, she's 2,
Yep.
not a big thing. But I'd love to start at this point about health and wellness, because I feel for women at any age, it is the foundation for everything that we do in our leadership, in our parenting, relationships, how we feel every day, whether we're crushing life or not crushing life. And so that was a really great starting point for me, because I went looking for a product, right? I need some help to lose weight, found a great product, said, yeah, I'm in, doing the whole skeptical thing. And then at some point, the woman who introduced me was a patient of my husband's. He was a chiropractor for many years. Said, oh, you could make money from doing this, like from sharing this. And immediately, I was like, ooh, I can't sell. Like, that whole narrative just went off in my head. But thankfully, I have had years of incredible women stand beside me. Some are still around, some aren't, reason, season sort of thing. But I've always had this line of women who have stepped in to lift me up, guide me, lead me, cheer me on. And I just feel so fortunate and grateful to have had that. And so, and then that whole experience just sort of got me into, business, network marketing, now social retail coaching, and just really leveraging what we can do here on social media. So I'm coming to you from Ontario, Canada, and I just moved we lived in Australia for 22 years. So it's been a hot minute, but I've actually got a desk now, and like, I've got a bed, no bed frame quite yet, but I've got a bed here. Kids are getting settled. So yeah, what a time to be an entrepreneur, to be a female entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, honestly. And a couple of key things that you said there that I think, again, intentional women making an impact kind of comes from this, is the great women that you have surrounded yourself with. And it is different in seasons and changes and, different businesses. And, you're always looking for that business mentor or that coach or that business bestie, I like to call them sometimes too, where it's like, I just have to have a business conversation. Can I roll this off of you? Can I have 5 minutes? Because I feel and maybe you feel this way too, that not everybody, I mean, I've had some of my best friends say, I don't even know what you do. I
Yeah.
don't understand what you do. And I'm like, okay, so that is either I'm not having conversations with them about that, or I'm not making myself enough visible to share what I have to help
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
So I think you get information everywhere, right? It's always a blessing or a lesson. So when they're sharing with me, like, I don't even know what you do, I think some people brings up a couple things. Some people feel like the space is really saturated. Some people are just like, I don't even understand a second of it and I don't even know where I would start. And then some people are like, oh, yeah, I've seen that. I just don't see you a lot. So there's just this mixed bag, but it's all information to help us kind of move on for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And and that's, and that's part of branding too. So, there's one school of thought who would say, well, that's a good thing because if we are, using attraction marketing, we're branding ourselves, we want to bring people into our orbit. We want people to be curious
Mhm.
about what we do, right? That's a really sound strategy in many ways. And for me, it's how I want people to feel when they're around my stuff, right? When they're around me, or they're around my videos, or they're watching something that I do, or they're consuming my content. It's all about how I want them to feel, right?
Mhm.
And let's face it, I'm talking to women, mostly over 40,
Mhm.
mostly moms, mostly entrepreneurs, but it's how I want them to feel. And then the magic of what we do on here is in the conversation, right? And so, yes, it's about having more conversations with women and coming from a place of service, because the amazing thing about social media and branding, and this as well, is that we can do many things, right? We don't have to, put ourselves into one thing, like I am a network marketer, or I am, I sell XYZ product, right? We can do many things. Now, if you're just getting started in business, I would suggest that you don't try and do everything, right? But
Right.
it's good to start with one thing and, get your feet wet, build some skills. But once you build up that influence, right, which
Mhm.
everybody has, by the way, it's not like, all of a sudden you're only an influencer when you have a million followers or something, right? You can bring people into your orbit if for different ways, and it's all in the conversation and the connection that you have with people. And as you say, when you come from a place of service,
Mhm.
we can help women on many different levels, right? So for me, I've always been in health and wellness. I've always, carried, represented, been aligned with, wellness products, and I'm still doing that because
Mhm.
I am on always on a health and wellness journey. It never
Mhm.
ends, right? It's always about getting better. And menopause, hitting 50, it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
time to pivot. Time to pivot. And then, at some point along the way, somebody said to me, oh, you'd make a great business coach. And I thought, well, hot damn, I can do that too, right?
Mhm.
I can also help people build a business, right? So
Right.
yeah,
I just
yeah,
wanna share with everybody, like, if you get the chance, in the comments, tell us live or replay. I'm a replay girl myself. How about you, Christine?
yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a replay girl, and I'm okay with it. The thing that we wanna remember is, as leaders, we wanna be intentional. So I will always challenge you guys to intentionally write in your calendar when you're going to catch that replay. Because I know sometimes things come up and they'll be like, so and so is going live at this time on this day. And you think, well, shoot, I'm at work during that time, or I'm putting the kids to bed at that time. It doesn't mean that you get to miss it. It means you get to decide when you're going to take in the information. So if you're live or replay, let us know. But always remember that you can just put it in your calendar or in your phone and say, I'm going to watch it at this time.
Yes,
So you know that I am a major advocate for a morning routine. I
absolutely.
Oh my gosh. So I have 21 day rush going, or morning rush going on right now, and we're in week 1, which is amazing. However, when I start to introduce morning routines to people, first thing that people do is go, "Oh my gosh, I'm not a morning person," or "I could never do that." Until we start to create their individual plan, and
Mhm.
then they're like, Okay, I could maybe put a couple things into place. So, for you being an entrepreneur, and I know that you are a driven, impactful woman, what is it that is like a non-negotiable for you when it comes to either a daily or a morning routine?
Yeah, such a great question. Gosh, we could talk about this for hours.
I know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's been a rocky road for me. I'll be honest. The whole morning routine. Um, it's like it's changed for me a lot. When you have kids, so when my kids were little, right? And for those of you who are watching who have little kids, right? You're like,
Mhm.
ooh, I'm gonna get up half an hour early to start my morning routine. It's like, and then it's like your kids magically here, and they go, Mom's getting up half an hour early, so I'm gonna make sure that I get up half an hour early too to
I
crash.
always say that I swear that Blake smells me when I walk past her room because
Yeah,
she this morning, for instance, I'm like taking care of the dogs, doing what I need to do in the kitchen to get ready for them for the day. And Blake wasn't up at the time. And then I literally walk into the living room and there she is laying on the couch. I'm like, where did you even come from?
yeah, yeah. She's like, uh.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's so true. But yeah, so I actually learned from my husband how to get up early because he's a very early riser, and he would always say, oh, like he's up usually up like four, anytime between 4 and 5. And I love my sleep. I do not find it easy. And by the way, people who have mastered morning routines, it does not mean that the alarm goes off at 5 and they're like, yay, let's get out of bed. It's not like that, right? They have just made a decision that
Mhm.
they are going to get out of bed regardless, despite
Yes.
the fact that they don't want to, despite the fact that it's still, still cold and dark out or whatever it is, right? So that was the first step, is just learning. And then people say, oh, I'd like to do my personal development work later in the day. That's cool,
Mhm.
but you can't deny that morning time. And I don't know the science behind it, but you probably know that there's something about your brain and where your brain is at in terms of absorbing information, setting a tone, eating the frog, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
You can't escape it. You got to do a morning routine in the morning. And so one non-negotiable for me is moving my body at some
Mhm.
point. So if I'm not going to the gym, or I'm not running, I'm at least going for a vigorous walk. And so I'm pretty committed. Like I do, pretty, I'd say pretty hardcore workouts in the gym. I love lifting weights and all that stuff.
I
But
love
in
watching your
terms
videos with that stuff. I'm like, "Ooh, maybe I could do that."
Yeah, yeah, of
I went
course
to
you
the gym
can. Of
on,
course you
what,
can.
2
It's
days ago, and I literally can't sit down right now, and I just
yeah. I know. I know. It's I love that though. It's like if I'm
Yeah.
not, if I don't have sore muscles, then geez, what the heck am I doing?
It
But
feels like I definitely put in some effort, and I'm like, "It might be a couple more days before I can put in some effort again."
yeah, 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 yeah. And that's okay. Like today, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was at the gym and I thought, okay, today I'm gonna go for a walk and that's it. I'm gonna walk and stretch and
Mhm.
that's it. But I love journaling in the morning actually, and
Mhm.
I've started. I came up with like a little template for myself the other day, and I just thought, okay, so what are, rather than thinking about time,
Mhm.
the time, just think about things that you want to hit, right? So I think, okay, so hydration, absolutely, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate,
Yes.
and then oxygenate, right? So I've been getting into like some breathing stuff, Wim Hof breathing. I do a lot. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but
I
it's
never.
yeah, it's really good if you're, if you're just feeling a bit like anxious, or a friend of mine, when I was on Ray Higdon's reality show, she taught me how to do it. But you can look it up. It's just, I won't get into it now, but it's a really powerful breathing, and you'd be amazed. I mean, we're all breathing, right? But when you actually consciously do breath work, I don't know about you, but I see a lot of coaches like breath work
Mhm.
stuff, and I was kind of
Yeah.
like, seriously, are you
Yes.
like,
For
is
a
there
while I did. Yeah, for a while I was like, "Come on, everybody breathes." But then
yeah,
when
yeah.
you realize the shortness of your breath,
Yes,
and some of those
yeah,
exercises, like, brought some things out for sure, yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so hydrate, oxygenate, and then excuse me, I do try and do a little bit of meditation.
Mhm.
But here's the thing, you can just go onto YouTube. and find something that's 10 minutes long, like something guided. Like I am not at the stage where I can sit there for and hold myself for a whole hour. Um, but, and then I journal at the end of that. And I put on some music, right? So again, the music that triggers you emotionally, and I just
Mhm.
write like whatever, write. And usually I could do all that in less than 20 minutes. Not
Yeah.
the exercise part comes a little bit later, but yeah, and it's just, I think, I don't know, I think it's more important to get into some kind of routine
Mhm.
rather than trying to stick to, like you're doing is like an individualized plan,
Mhm.
and just know like what's your minimum. At a minimum, I'm going to spend 5 minutes, writing some things down. At a minimum, I'm going to do a quick 10-minute meditation, right?
Mhm.
Because it's like that saying 0.01 is infinitely better than zero point 0.0,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We don't need to go from like nothing to I do an hour of personal development every morning. You know what I mean? So so yeah, and I mean these things, we all know about these things, is just doing it. And sometimes it's uncomfortable
And taking
because
the time to implement it and not feel silly about it. I feel like some
yeah,
people are like, "Oh, morning routine, like, you're gonna set an intention statement for the day." What does that even mean? Well, have you tried it?
yeah,
Have you tried to say, "Today, I'm gonna feel happier, healthier, and wealthier. And what am I gonna do different if I decide that I'm going to feel that way today?" You're gonna carry yourself different. You're gonna make different eating choices. You're gonna behave differently. I mean, yeah, we could talk about this for way too long. So, why don't you share with me something that you feel like is a real strength in your business, and then maybe share with us an opportunity that you feel like you're working on right now?
sure. So with my social retail business, I mean, I think that's one of the great things about going on this entrepreneur journey is you really get to discover what your strengths are.
Mhm.
And one of the things I love about being in a team environment is being in a team environment. Like I love being a cheerleader for people, and it really is a strength of mine. I love connecting with my team, and I
Mhm.
love getting on Zooms with people. And I went a long time with this little voice in my head thinking like that hustling thing, right? Like you have to move faster, and you can't spend time this much time with people, and you shouldn't get on so many calls with people. And I've just really pushed that away and thought, what, this is something that I really love to do, is connect really with people one on one.
Mhm.
And that's what sort of helped me get into coaching as well. And yeah, I think just like the social media strategy is something that I'm really good at teaching, and is I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm really, my team is having a lot of success with it. So my community, my confident social media collective, I've called it.
Okay, yeah, I
Really,
love that you changed that name a little bit, and your new cover looks really beautiful.
oh, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the word, collective.
Mhm.
I used to call it tribe, and then, believe it or not, somebody told me that was no longer politically correct to use that.
Yeah. I don't think
Oh,
about it that way, but I can see how somebody would have.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
when I
So
came up with, so originally the female leader headquarters was the female entrepreneur headquarters. And I'm
right.
like, you know what? Not everybody wants to leave their 9 to 5. Some people just want to be really good at it and then have a nice balanced life outside of work that they can feel confident. So I was like, that's leadership. That's me leading
Yeah,
my life. But
yeah,
to me, headquarters was like, this is the place that I can come and I can share communication and I can ask
right.
questions and I can, get the support that I need. So I was like, female leader headquarters sounds way more like within my vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the word headquarters. Very, very cool. Yeah,
Because
so
it's almost like a let's go and you can start here if you need to.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, no, I just love marketing. I love making videos. I love creating content. And yeah, that's probably a big strength of mine. And just connecting and having great conversations with people. Because I find too, being in the online business space, the network marketing space, it's something that people struggle with a lot.
Mhm.
They're we're human beings, and yes, we have conversations with people in real time, and you still want to be a human being when you're talking to somebody in Messenger. The
Mhm.
conversation will be a little bit different. But a lot of people struggle with this, like they don't know what to say. And so I really love helping people with that. I'm actually going to be doing a boot camp, a 4-week boot camp in October on this, on, creating magnetizing conversations with people. So just the connection piece,
I
I
love
think
that.
is really
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
So,
So
and I do think sometimes people forget that social is not rolling through and just looking at everybody else's life
yeah,
or only going through and sharing yours.
that's it.
It's this mix of interaction and support and like, let's be social and have real connections. It's an opportunity to reach out to people who, like, you were in Australia and I'm here in little bitty Michigan. Like, how in the world did we connect? Well, the power of social connection.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much from you, and we've been in some similar groups and things, and it's like we never would have had that opportunity without social, but we also wouldn't have had that opportunity if we had stayed in our own zone.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
where can people, you talked a little bit, we'll make sure that we drop the link for your group.
Hmm.
But when people think about their social, I want the people who, are getting the chance to watch this on live or replay, drop one word in the comments of how you feel when you think about your social profile.
Confidence.
Yes, I love that. So I would love
Yeah.
to know how people feel about their social media profile, and maybe even if you have a comment of like how you intend to or want to use it, that would be great to share as well. Christine, I would love for you to drop in the comments after we're finished with this, your group, and
Yeah.
then where else can people follow you, get to know you better, get into your world?
Well, I'm on Instagram sharing the reels, which I hope are entertaining. I love making reels and just yeah, I made a great one this morning. And again, there I am. I'm thinking, gosh, this has taken me half an hour to create this reel, but I don't care. I really enjoy doing it. And whether people like it or not, I don't know. But it was all about being a woman 50 and over, and how really powerful we are at this age,
Yeah.
that I never realized how much power and confidence I would have at 50 when I was 20, right? Probably more now than when I was 20. But I've got a YouTube channel. I'd love people to go check me out over there. I've got some great training videos on YouTube. But yeah, my personal Facebook profile is, if people really want to, get to know me a little bit, I just really try and show up there every day, you know, with authenticity. And somebody said in a training the other day, which I thought was so cool, but how she's built up her social media influence, particularly Instagram. She said, and this is so neat. She said, I treat it like an Easter egg hunt every day to share just all of the interesting, inspiring, curious, neat, fun things
Mhm.
that go on in my day. And I thought, what a great analogy.
It
And,
really is.
and that's the path to influence, leadership, business success, like that right there, you know?
Yeah, I know, like, sometimes when I'm at the restaurant, I think of things and I'm like, "Oh, I have to share this. This is such a good point," and then I'm doing something and I kind of forget. And then, somebody was like, "You need to write that stuff down," because, I mean, even yesterday outside of Walmart, I ran into one of my business besties,
Yes.
someone that we have conversation about our businesses through Messenger, and, she was telling me about something that was happening, and I gave her a little bit of advice, and I was like, "Dang, more people need to talk about that topic." So it's one of those things, that's a great point to think about it like an Easter egg hunt and just have these little droplets of all the great things that are kind of happening throughout your day. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And I mean, it is challenging sometimes because we are busy, right? And
Mhm.
we don't always remember to go, oh, pick up my phone,
Oh,
film that,
sure.
take a photo. But yeah, it's the more we start thinking like marketers,
Mhm.
right? And being present in that in our day. And like I was saying to somebody the other day, like, often people think, well, no one's really going to be interested in that. Yeah, they are.
Well, and are you interested in it? I mean, it really comes down to you're sharing your life and your likes and your things. And I feel like we're either, I learned this from Tara Eldridge. She's like, you're either being enrolled in someone else's idea of what life should be like, or you are enrolling people in what you think your life should be like.
Yeah.
And if you're enrolling people in positivity, what's wrong with that? There's
Yeah.
nothing
Absolutely.
wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And people are interested.
Yeah.
People want to know. Like they don't want to be, always following the Kim Kardashians of the world, right? No,
Right.
Kim Kardashian, but it's so much more relatable to look to go check out what Trienne's like. What are you serving in the restaurant tonight? Like, I think that's so cool
Right.
about you, right? I was just in my head thinking that's such an awesome part of your life, right? And yeah, it's people want to know. They want to know all the things.
Yeah, whenever I do like a video of what our food bar looks like, they're like, "You need to slow down when you do those videos,"
Yeah,
because I'm like, "Well, if I
absolutely.
slow down, you can't smell it." I mean, it
Yeah,
just is
yeah.
what it is. Um, anyway, I have put you on the hot seat now for it looks like 25 minutes. So why don't you, if you want, if you can think of anything that you may have a question for me, it can be what's your favorite color, it can be what's your favorite food, it can be like, what's your favorite part of your morning, whatever is on your mind.
Well, when I think of Trienne, I think of leadership and I think of female empowerment. But I also always look at you and I think, dang, she's got so many things going on. Like
Aw, that is
you're
such a
one of
compliment to me, though. Thank you so much. I'm gonna receive that for a second because to
absolutely,
know that somebody thinks of like first thing you think of as leadership and women's empowerment, I'm like, yes, that makes me so happy. So thank you for that.
absolutely, yeah. And I'm not the only one, trust me. Um, but when I think, sometimes, but we want to stay out of comparison, but sometimes I think, dang, like, how is she getting all that done? Like, you're managing a restaurant, you're a mom. I know what you're doing behind the scenes in your business. I know how much work is involved with running a group.
Mhm.
So, what's like your best piece of advice? Like what do you think is your and like we all have good days, bad days, and
Absolutely.
women who are busy, I'm not like I know you're not like, oh, everything is perfect.
Rainbows and unicorns. No.
But you're doing it, right? You're doing it. And this is important because I think we're not promoting the hustle culture, but we are saying to women, you can actually
You can.
do like
Mhm.
all kinds of things, right? It's just about working smarter and utilizing technology and good partnerships. So how do you do it all?
Mm.
What's your
It's funny
secret?
because somebody has asked me this before, just in a different way. And so first of all, I would say you're right. Not every day is rainbows and unicorns and butterflies, but one of the things I think that helps me the most is that I did really learn that failure or negativity or whatever it is, this is a moment. This is not me as a person. I literally just said to Tegan this morning, failure is not your life. It is a moment. It is an
Yeah.
experience. It's what's happening right now. So I really have to physically think about changing hats. When I'm at the
Yes.
restaurant, I have to be fully present at the restaurant. I have my notebook and I keep track of anything that kind of happens while I'm there that day or questions I have. And then when I leave the restaurant, it's closed.
Yeah.
And then when I'm at home, now I'm going to be honest, sometimes it's hard for me to be present in the moment where my feet are when I'm at home because I do always kind of feel like if someone needs something, I have to be there. So I have had to put my phone on silent. I've had to shut it off before. I've had to tuck it in a corner. And some days you're needed more than others. So last night I went for a walk with my girls with no phone. It was just us, just our conversation. And I had to intentionally choose to do that. And
Yeah.
then tomorrow I teach for character education. So I have a
Oh yeah,
plan.
that too.
Yeah. So tonight I have an hour set aside to make sure that I have my lesson all set after the girls go to bed. And
Yes.
then tomorrow on my color coded Google calendar, I teach from 9 to 2 and I'm at the restaurant from 3 to 8 and it's all color coded so that also kind of shows me how I'm balancing my time.
Yes.
You
What
know,
are you teaching?
I teach on Mondays and Tuesdays from 8 until 12, and then Fridays from 9 until 2. Um, but because I'm taking on some other things at the restaurant here over the next couple months, that's, the low-hanging fruit. Sometimes things have to give. And
Yeah,
there's other people who are perfectly capable and probably even better than I am at teaching some of this character education. So I'm continuing to do my Mondays and Tuesdays, but after this week, I'm not going to do Fridays for a while
right,
because
right.
there's different seasons and changes in life where your focus has to go someplace else for a little heavier and a little differently. So I think that I welcome the season change, and I really try to, like, wherever my 2 feet are at right now, this is where my brain has to be.
Yeah, yeah,
That's my best.
yeah. And that is a real skill, that be able to switching hats, especially for a woman, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, like, you said, intentional, setting the intention and like literally putting the phone away and saying, no.
Mhm. And, oh, Tegan will my 10-year-old, she will call me out. She'll be like, "You weren't listening to me. I saw you in the kitchen. You were texting." And I'm like, "Okay." And then I'll tell her, I mean, she's not call me out. I'll tell her exactly what I'm doing. I said, "I'm actually responding to a question I got from the restaurant. As soon as I'm finished with this response, I will put it down. You're right. Thank you."
Yeah,
Because,
yeah,
yes, I was on my phone texting. You're right.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
she has taught me so much about being. Yeah, I owe a lot to Tegan. She's 10 and she doesn't even realize it.
yeah, yeah.
I owe a
I
lot
know.
to Tegan, yeah.
Well, isn't that why we all became parents?
Oh gosh, I never wanted to be a
To learn
parent,
more
but
lessons
I
and
love them so much, yes. And Bill is a huge, Bill, my hubs, is a huge supporter, so he's really good with balancing you pick up the girls, you take them to cheer. When I went to Nashville, he had to take Blake to a double header for cheerleading, and I was just like, he has to sit and watch flag football for 2 hours. Um, but he did it, and he's willing to do it. I think sometimes we as women, forget we have to ask. We don't
yeah,
ask, and they're not gonna do it if we don't ask because they don't know, because we
yeah,
act like we can handle it all. So,
yeah. Gosh, there's another conversation.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, this has been absolutely wonderful having you on today. I'm so glad that we got to connect in this way.
yeah,
Um,
same.
Obviously, if you wanna know more about Christine, we're gonna drop all her handles and follows, in the comments after the live, and we just look forward to seeing more of you in the group because obviously you're down for pre-approvals now, so you are welcome to blow us up in the Female Leader Headquarters
Absolutely.
with all your goodness, and we'll look forward to seeing more from you in the future.
Awesome. It's been an absolute pleasure. Love ya.
Love you too. Thanks so much. Bye, guys.
You guys.